Good afternoon, friends, and thank you so much for joining me. I am Mindie Molina, and you're listening to the Mindie Molina Show on 89.9 FM, Palm City, WCNO, and we're so glad for you to tune in. I have a lot of exciting information to cover with you today in lieu of everything that's going on in the financial world. So, I'm calling this segment Hide and Seek with Your Money, okay? Figuring out where your money should be and understanding really the frameworks of some of these investment opportunities, including banking, brokerage accounts, real estate investments, and insurance companies, and really helping you understand how to invest in those safely. And I'm going to be tuning in some of my informants in those various industries to help us get some behind the scene information to help you make educated decisions. Remember, knowledge is power, and we want you to have peace of mind no matter what's going on in the economy, no matter what's going on in the world. We want you to have peace of mind, and the best way to have peace of mind around all of that, number one, is to have faith, because God has got it. Okay, he tells us we don't need to worry about tomorrow. We have enough problems today. So that being said, we also need to be a good steward of our money and manage it effectively. And the best way to do that is to seek out the information that's out there, that's available to you. And if you can stick out this show for the next hour, it is a live show. You are welcome to call in at 772
221
1100. 221-1100. Again, 772-221-1100. My name is Mindie Molina. You can find me at mindiemolina.com. You can also request a consultation with me at obviously no charge. Here is a resource for you to talk about all things. I specialize in retirement planning, whether you're retired or planning to retire one day. Planning is the key, and you're gonna hear me say all throughout these next 4 segments of how important it is for you to have a plan, not to just randomly be investing your money, but to have a structure built, a framework around what your objectives are for your future, and utilizing money as a tool to help you get there. Okay, so we want to use money as a tool to help you achieve the goals that you want it to achieve in life and in retirement. So planning is a really big factor, and it's really important to me, and I think it's the foundation of having a successful financial future. Meanwhile, we have all of these other opportunities when it comes to taking advantage of our money and making it work for us. So let's dive in and get started. And the number one thing I'm going to go into first, because I think it's fun and I think it becomes very popular whenever we start to see economic turmoil, especially in banking and the US dollar. And that is gold, silver, and then I like to throw in the diamonds because I'm a girl and I prefer diamonds. And a little secret, fun thing about diamonds, diamonds, a lot of the Jewish families were able to escape the Holocaust using diamonds and bringing them into the new country where they may have been, like the United States. So diamonds have like a little sentimental value for me too, because I just think of how special they are and how they were such a savior during that time. So no matter what the situation is in the world, we have to use assets sometimes to protect ourselves, even if it's something as simple as a diamond. And that includes gold and silver. And I have a lot of people ask me, well, Mindie, what about gold? Should I be buying gold? Now, I think there's a place for everything in your investment strategy. But when you're thinking about retirement for a long-term perspective, like the back of the bus money that maybe you're never going to spend, but your children might inherit, right? Yeah, there's a place for that. So, but the thing you have to think about with these assets is that when it comes to gold, silver, diamonds, is the liquidity of the market. And we don't want to also fool ourselves into believing that precious metals, diamonds, gems, that they don't fluctuate in value, because they do. You can look, and now it's easy to invest in these things through ETFs and funds, and you can do that. But to physically hold them, there's just some security in that, and I completely get it. And I almost thought maybe I'll call the local pawn shop and get them in and let them talk to us about the value right now and what's going on in the gold market. But for me, I personally don't want to be arriving at the pawn shop in order to go buy groceries or gas for my car or to book that trip. So I think you have to have an income strategy that probably is not going to involve gold bars in your safe. But again, for a long-term perspective, absolutely. So one of the things is lack of price transparency, market fluctuations, illiquidity in the market, high transaction fees, and then high risk related to the quality of maybe the gold or the diamond. You want to make sure that you have the right quality. So you kind of need an expert in that way, but I like to wear it. That's where I am. So let's move into the banks. What happens when a bank fails? So now we're going to talk about the FDIC, which we're seeing this all on the news. What happens when a bank fails? The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation is insurance coverage, and it's particularly relevant now. The FDIC insures up to $250,000. It's one of the misconceptions is that it's $250,000 holistically when you walk into a bank, like per bank. Well, that's not true. There are ways that you can have more assets, more than $250,000 insured by the FDIC in one bank, at your local bank. So you don't have to have $250,000 all over the town, right? And all the different banks. So the FDIC insures up to $250,000 per depositor, per institution, but per ownership category at member banks. So the ownership category is a really big factor here. So what can we do if we have more than $250,000? First, let's start with what is the FDIC? The FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, an independent agency of the U.S. government that protects you against loss of deposits if your bank or thrift institution fails and is FDIC insured. So in order to keep the public confident, the federal government actually created this agency, the FDIC, during the Depression in 1933. And like we said when we were talking about our annuity segment and the history of annuities, and if you remember me telling the story how I always heard that insurance companies are what got us out of the Depression and quote unquote, like how that tied in, this segment is going to explain that to you. But out of that, because of the failures of the banks, we were able to come up with the FDIC to boost people's confidence in the banks again. And it is necessary. You need to be protected and have your money insured at the bank. The most important thing is structure, having a financial framework that says, this is how my money is mapped out, and having a very specific plan that helps you navigate these rules and limitations when it comes to your money. So first of all, the FDIC does not insure all accounts. Insured accounts by the FDIC include NOW accounts, or negotiable orders of withdrawal, money market deposit accounts, checking and savings accounts, and certificates of deposit. So if anyone's ever sat with me and built out a financial plan for their family, one of the things that I explain to them is that there's three real crucial segments of your money overall. One is everything that happens at the bank. This is your expense account and your emergency money. So the first aspect of those three segments, those three huge building blocks, is your expense account. Money is coming in. It's coming in from your income. Maybe it's coming in from Social Security. Maybe it's coming in from your business. However it's coming in, this income is consistently coming in. And guess what's coming out? Your bills, right? The cost of you living day to day, what you owe for your electric, your internet, your HOA, your car insurance, how much you spend at the grocery store, how much you spend going out, how much you spend at the movies, how much you spend going on vacations, things that are giving us just the quality of life and the standard of living that we want. And we factor all of that in, and we get pretty detailed with it because a really crucial part of our peace of mind and our joy when it comes to life, living the life we want to live. And I want you to live the life you want to live. I do not get stingy when it comes to this expense account. I want to see people enjoying life. I get to enjoy my life. Why shouldn't you? And it all starts with that expense account. The second thing is sometimes people get in a hurry and they just want to start investing. They get a little money saved up and now they're ready to buy every cryptocurrency known to man. Okay, slow down. The second pillar, the second big piece of your foundation of your financial structure and framework is your emergency fund, also part of the banking system. That emergency fund could be, it's typically a savings account, but it's emergency money that you can quickly access, and that by taking that money, you're not losing money because you had to cash in an investment or sell your diamonds in order to get, right? Because if you have to have a fire sale because of an emergency, odds are you're not going to get to really capture the true opportunity of that investment. That's why you have to have liquid cash ready to go, typically in the bank. Now, if you think about that, the money that's coming in, the money that's going out in your checking account, and then the money that you have saved up in your savings, which on average is a range from $20,000. I like to see a family have a minimum of $20,000 on hand. Then up to, I've seen $150,000. And the older we get, the more money we want to have cash on hand. And it gives us more security. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's all about that peace of mind. And I like to figure out what makes my clients feel like they have breathing room and that no matter what happens, they have access to that money. So those are the two things. Well, if you think about those amounts of money, you're within those limits, those standards of the FDIC. It makes sense. So where does the rest of our money go? Well, the rest of our money I call the nest egg. Those are your three different segments, right? You have your expense account, your emergency account, and now you have your nest egg. And that includes all types of different investments that are designed to provide for you in the future. They're there to grow. They should be working while you're at work. They should be working. So that whole nest egg is there to just grow and accumulate when you're in what I call the accumulation phase of life, which is we're saving for retirement. And then during your retirement years, once you're retired, that is there to now supplement any income that you're going to need in that to offset the deficit that you might have from not having a wage come into your expense account. And now we need to use portions of that to provide an income for you. But the nest egg is like your partner in your financial business. So we need it to work. It needs to be doing its part. But I don't necessarily know that the bank is the place for that to be. So let's dig a little deeper in talking about banking now that you understand my thoughts on the overall structure and why I think that's so important. FDIC, let's see. So here's a scenario. Remember I said I was going to include some of my informants. Here's my behind the scene knowledge from a really good friend of mine that runs a bank locally. So I called him. We've been friends for years, and I like to keep all of my friends close, whether they're, what do we say, competitors or not, because this industry is so complicated as it is. We really want to take care of each other so that we can all take care of our clients in the absolute best way. So I reached out to my friend and said, okay, I wanted to come on the radio, but obviously the banking institution is a little crazy right now. So he couldn't be on the show, but he did text me some information I want to share with you. First, I do want to say this is a live show. This is the Mindie Molina Show, talking everything investments. And you can reach us live if you'd like, 772-221-1100. You can leave a message or you can come on the air with me. You can also go on my website, mindiemolina.com. You can Google my name, MINDIE-MOLINA. You can go on YouTube. You can watch our channels, watch previous shows. There's all kinds of information out there on me. So just look me up and let's connect. So here is what my good friend said, and it was excellent information. I think it's going to bring you a lot of peace of mind about banking and how you can feel confident in the FDIC in your local bank and what they can do to house your money, okay? So, quote, this is from my informant. Well, I asked him specifically, well, can you offer up any information that I can share with the public? And he said, well, maybe dispel rumors that the FDIC is limited to $250,000 per bank. So there you go. Rumor number one dispelled. It's not limited to $250,000 per bank. It's not. It's based on an ownership category and the individual associated. Okay, so here's a hypothetical that he gave. If you have a wife that has an individual account for $250,000, then you have the husband who has an individual account for $250,000. Then you have a husband and a wife who have a joint account for $500,000, because together you get the credit of both, so it adds up to 500. Then you have a husband and wife with their 2 kids as beneficiaries. That's $1 million. So just this little family of 4 would have $2 million of FDIC insured at one bank in that scenario. So it can be a combination of checking, savings, CDs. Now, he did say your business EIN is subject to $250,000 total, regardless of the amount of accounts. So only one per EIN number. What did I do? I skipped forward too fast. Oops. Bear with me. Okay, so I don't want to miss this. And the more beneficiary means more coverage. So if this is true, obviously I'm quoting what somebody else, this is, rumor information, but it is enough for you to be able to go to your bank and say, how can I structure my assets within my household so that I'm fully insured? Okay, maybe it means that, hey, sit down with your banker and say, I want to add beneficiaries so I can get full credit of the FDIC insurance limits. Okay, sit down with your banker, discuss the accounts that you have. Maybe you just need to open one more account. It's so easy. You can still open another account and typically get a household statement. It's easy to manage. Don't feel like having too many accounts is not worth it. It's very important. It's very worth it. It's, again, part of that framework and that structure, and it's your responsibility to make sure you have everything mapped out correctly. The other thing is, tax purposes too. But I thought he made some really good points there, making sure that the ownership category is accurate, and then also beneficiaries. So here's another tidbit that he offered up, which is awesome. This is an FDIC calculator. So you can actually go to fdic.gov/calculator. Sure, you could just Google FDIC calculator and find the link. I did post the link. I'm posting a lot of links to the Facebook live video that you can reference about a lot of the topics that we're going over today. So he says this is a great tool for people to utilize. It's from the FDIC website. You can plug in your accounts and how they are titled, and it shows you what you're insured for and what's not insured. How easy is that? Doesn't matter what bank you're with. If you have your bank information, how they're titled, how much money, and so on, just plug in the little calculator. I'm sure it's very user-friendly, and see what you have insured and what you don't. And that, my friends, is going to give you peace of mind. Again, live show, 772-221-1100. It's the Mindie Molina Show. And we're talking about banking right now. And here are just some general things that I picked up online. Now, I was Googling away at stuff too. I don't run a bank, but I have enough information, I guess knowledge, to probably be dangerous. So I have to be careful, but I want to give you some information, maybe some keywords that you can consider or research yourself when it comes to banking. Obviously, because the FDIC limits, you could open an account at a different bank. You could add a joint owner, excuse me, kind of like my informant suggested. You can get an account that's in a different ownership category. Here are a few of those categories. Single accounts owned by one person, joint accounts owned by more than one person, certain retirement accounts. So if I have an IRA and I have a non-qualified account, even though those are both in my name, they're taxed differently, so they're considered two separate accounts. So your retirement accounts matter as well. So again, sit with your local banker, talk through this, and understand exactly what's insured and what's not, or go to that website. Revocable trust, irrevocable trust, corporations, partnerships, unincorporated associated accounts, employee benefit plan accounts. So the ownership matters. Here are some keywords that you might be able to look into as well if you are in that ultra high net worth space, and you and I have clients who are in that space where they're keeping hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank because they need liquidity because of their business. These are some things that you can consider. Intra-network deposits, you can Google that. Cash management accounts, Google that. Max safe account, and then DIF insurance. So DIF insurance is getting insurance that insures more than what the FDIC insures. And this is how brokerage accounts work. So we are going to segue into that, the brokerage area. Okay, how are your brokerage accounts protected? It's protected not by the FDIC, but by securities. Well, cash portions are, but for your investments, you have the Securities Investor Protection Corporation, the SIPC. The SIPC is a federally mandated private nonprofit organization. It was created as part of the Securities Investor Protection Act of 1970, which looked to shield investors from brokerages becoming insolvent. So now we were looking at banks becoming insolvent. Now we're looking at brokerages becoming insolvent. So this is your investments. So today, SIPC insurance covers investors for up to $500,000 in securities and up to $250,000 in uninvested cash. Okay, well, for your typical investor, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but a lot of the same concepts apply under SIPC as they do in the FDIC. So same in your brokerage as in your bank. The ownership of the account, they call it separate capacities, but it's the ownership concept as well in your accounts, individual accounts. So $500,000 in for each individual, $500,000 for IRAs, Roth IRAs, trust accounts, joint accounts would be $1 million. So how your account is titled is really crucial on how much your investments are insured. So you really need to sit with your advisor and make sure that everything is titled correctly. I am more than happy to help you do that, obviously. And accounts held by executors of an estate, even legal guardianships, they all fall under a different capacity, and they are insured under that $500,000 in securities, $250,000 in cash. Now, SIPC covers stocks, bonds, treasury stock, money market, mutual funds, even CDs. And we like to, here's one of the biggest crucial parts of this, that is the extra part. Remember, I was talking about the DIF in the banking world. Well, when it comes to your brokerage accounts, so, and I'm going to dive in, even read you a few little disclosures that I found. Our custodians, which is where we hold our assets, as an investment advisor representative with a registered investment advisory, we hold our assets with a third party and at what we call a custodian. So right now, TD Ameritrade Institutional is who we use. But there's a lot of different custodians, and we have access to all of them. This is just the one that I prefer, and they're actually merging with Charles Schwab. So our custodians have insurance coverage through SIPC, over, just like I stated, $500,000 in market value per account. They also have what's called excess SIPC coverage, SIPC, for accounts over $500,000 through Lloyd's of London. And I got to go to Lloyd's of London a couple years ago before COVID, and going back in April. And there's even Allianz is there, huge insurance company. I plan on visiting them as well. But Lloyd's in London is what does all the additional insurance, okay, for the money, reinsuring what SIPC doesn't cover. So the excess SIPC coverage for accounts over $500,000 through Lloyd's of London. This provides our clients with the comfort and peace of mind of having their assets held with some of the largest and most respected firms in the world. For example, here is one that is from Fidelity. Probably many of you have account, maybe your 401k is with Fidelity, maybe your IRA is with Fidelity, maybe your advisor holds your assets through Fidelity. Fidelity has, and I'm just reading this from Investopedia. For example, fraud claims will not be covered. So in addition to SIPC protection, Fidelity provides its brokerage customers with additional excess of SIPC coverage. The excess coverage would only be used when SIPC coverage is exhausted, which is the $500,000. Total aggregate excess of SIPC coverage available through Fidelity's excess of SIPC policy is $1 billion. Within Fidelity's excess of SIPC coverage, there is no per customer dollar limit on coverage of securities, but there is a per customer limit of $1.9 million on coverage of cash waiting to be invested. So if you have cash hasn't been invested yet, you haven't purchased any funds or securities with that, it's insured up to 1.9 million. But the excess coverage isn't allocated per person, but they have it to help them through. This is another one, Charles Schwab. Additional brokerage insurance in addition to SIPC protection is provided to Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated accounts through underwriters in London. Schwab's coverage with Lloyd's of London and other London insurers combined with SIPC coverage provides protection of securities and cash up to an aggregate of $600 million and is limited to a combined return to any customer from a trustee. SIPC in London insures of $150 million, including cash of up to $1,150,000. That is Charles Schwab. Going to TD Ameritrade Institutional, and I have to zoom this one in. It is additionally, TD Ameritrade provides each client $149.5 million worth of protection to securities and $2 million of protection to cash through supplemental coverage provided by London insurers. So there you have it, folks. This is giving you more peace of mind, right, about your brokerage account. So your nest egg, this is where your nest egg should be. Your nest egg needs to be protected by Lloyd's of London, by brokerages, because they're designed for that. The banks are designed for inflow, outflow of expense accounts and emergency funds, right? Your brokerage accounts are what is designed to house and protect your nest egg. I am going to call another informant, a wonderful man. If you have any questions, please feel free to call in now. It's a live show, 772-221-1100. This is the Mindie Molina Show, and on WCNO 89.9, and I'm going to be calling Michael McCreary, who is a very good friend of mine and an excellent realtor, and I'm going to call him, and we're going to talk about real estate and what do we think about real estate in terms of safety. So let's say you've decided you have a huge amount of cash and you would like to invest it in real estate. Is that a good idea right now? I'm going to read you this quote and then dial him up. In the past decade, real estate has ranked as the top investment pick for the majority, 35% of Americans, according to Gallup's annual economy and personal finance survey. That puts real estate ahead of stocks and mutual funds, which is 21%, savings accounts and CDs, which is 17%, gold, 16%, and bonds at 8% as the most favored investment. So let's dial up Michael McCreary of Welcome Home Realty International. If I can get this to work.